Welcome to Cellmates.
Oh, welcome to Cellmates.
I'm Kate Phillips.
I am not Kate Phillips. I am Dick Ward.
Correct.
Thank you.
And we are a podcast that takes two animated movies. We compare, contrast, generally slap a Venn diagram over them, and have a great time.
Oh.
Often, we do have a great time. That's part of it. Often, these two movies are Disney.
But not always.
Often, they are musicals.
But not always.
Often, they are good.
But not always.
We got a little bit of everything in this episode, quite honestly.
These movies were musicals, but
often.
not always.
But not always. Not by the release.
Whew.
Dick.
Kate.
Cheers.
Oh my God. Cheers. Hold on.
We're doing this
Clink.
kind of every hour because let's date the episode right now.
Yeah.
The whole country's in quarantine.
And I should say, this episode might have a little bit of a different energy, might have like a little bit of a different vibe because we can't. Normally, we have a ritual before each episode where we go outside, shake hands with strangers, and then touch our faces.
Touch our face a bunch of times.
But we can't do that now, so this might have a different vibe.
Part of the creative process
That's
here.
part of our process.
If you're like us and are just like day drinking and night drinking and unsure of time of day, we're glad you're here with us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for coming with us.
But we're trying to keep the schedule the same.
Yeah.
Which means it will just get loopier and loopier. These are going to be our best episodes.
I mean, this
ever.
is basically going to be like 30 days of plus.
It kind of. We might as well do a podcast today. What else are we doing?
Nothing. Now, technically, we're not under quarantine.
No, we're not under quarantine.
But we are about to be under a
kind of a shelter in that's not being called that in New York.
And we are considered by FEMA a great disaster. So
we're in kind of semi-isolation, social distancing,
and we're
like everyone
staying
else.
totally sane.
We definitely didn't like act out chess along with a concert version with stuffed animals last night.
No,
definitely not anything like that.
We're doing puzzles.
Yeah.
We've got a nice Peter Pan puzzle.
We do. We got a 4-pack of Disney puzzles. We can compare contrast those in the future.
Oh my God. Yes, let's do a podcast about the puzzles we made.
So you're going to have a lot of great content, listeners, coming up.
Yes. Hey, speaking of
day drinking.
Oh, I was going to say speaking of listeners, but no, you go first.
Speaking of day drinking. What are you drinking, Dick?
Well, I have to admit, I am on my third drink of the day.
No. It is daytime, too.
Because we started, we got ready to do the podcast, and then we needed to watch an hour and a half documentary, which honestly was very important.
Let's put a pin in that. We will definitely come back to that later.
So what I'm drinking right now it's a dry hopped sour ale called No New Frenemies.
Frenemies?
Yeah.
Dick, that kind of sounds like two words I know, but it's not. Can you explain?
Yeah, it's a mix between enemas and French. So a frenemy is like a French enema.
Our movies today are about frenemies.
What's a frenemy?
Oh, a friend and an enemy.
Whoa.
Como enemigo en español. Which is just, it's not a portmanteau. That's just the word enemy in Spanish is en a friend.
Wait, so amigo?
Amigo, enemigo. Yeah.
That's fun.
It is fun.
Hey, good job, Spanish.
And Spanish, it is kind of related to both of these movies.
Kind of.
But let's go to the expert. Our listener, Brianna.
I don't know that she's the expert.
Well, she's the expert on why these two movies are together, so let's zip to her. Our listener, Brianna, recommended this pairing, which is... Okay.
The Road to El Dorado.
You're out of commission.
It's The Road to El Dorado and Emperor's New Groove.
Correct.
Yes. She did not state a reason that they should be paired. Thank you for setting that up, though.
Oh.
Here's what Brianna has to say.
Great.
I love your podcast. Dick is my favorite. Kate is fine.
Okay.
Well, I'm paraphrasing. But she says, I'd really love to hear more about traditionally animated DreamWorks movies. I know DreamWorks isn't your favorite, but I've always enjoyed them. The list below, she gives a couple of recommendations, has a few DreamWorks movies and a couple of Disney movies. So she sent us a couple of suggestions of traditionally animated DreamWorks movies. And in this case, 2 movies with frenemies.
Which, honestly, we are not the biggest fan of DreamWorks, but the 2D ones are all pretty solid.
So far, we're like...
There aren't that many of them, but the ones we've seen...
I am starting to turn around on...
They're all better than Shrek.
On DreamWorks as a whole. Mm-hmm. Because, like, How to Train Your Dragon was great. Abominable was pretty good. And then, like, their traditionally animated stuff has been like, not Joseph, but...
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt. Stellar.
Spirit,
and
Stallion of the
Spirit
Cimarron.
had that hilarious falling horse.
Yeah.
So... We're doing pretty good.
DreamWorks does some good stuff. So thank you, Brianna. This is a fantastic idea for a pairing. They are...
Wait, what's the pairing?
The Road to El Dorado and The Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
Great pair.
Yeah.
They're released in the same year by DreamWorks and Disney. A lot of people get them confused because they're about ancient Latin American, South American... societies loosely. Mayans in Road to El Dorado and Incas in The Emperor's New Groove.
Which I did not know.
Yeah, neither did the filmmakers. That's okay. But they both take place in the American pan-continent below the United States.
Central America?
Central and South America.
Okay.
I think Peru is nominally where the Emperor's New Groove takes place.
All right.
And they feature they're buddy comedies.
Yeah.
And they feature
and we're buddies.
Hey.
And we're like pretty funny.
And we'll probably be frenemies in another day or two of sequestering. Yeah, so the kind of dual protagonists that are friends and not friends as the movie goes on, and etc. So thanks, Brianna, for reaching out. And we can't. I mean, if we're doing an episode a day now, we're gonna get to all these suggestions.
But also, if it's pronounced Brianna, then just replace all the times we said Brianna with Brianna.
Yeah.
Just whichever one is correct. Just edit the podcast. We're not gonna do it. But you go back and edit the podcast.
Everyone has time to edit podcasts now.
Yeah. By the way, I should mention, we did a Walt Disney World episode recently.
Yeah.
That was very well edited. Everyone said.
Well, you got some great behind the scenes. We never re-edited it, did we?
No.
You got some great behind the scenes, what is it, footage? What do you call it?
Audio.
Because normally we edit out when we clap and then say something to each other, and we just didn't this time.
I missed them. And I also left in 10 seconds of silence that
you sure did.
I left in so that I would know to edit it out. So sorry about that. I will eventually upload a new one, but if you are listening to that episode and it just goes quiet in the middle, keep listening. It will continue.
Also, you might not want to listen to that episode for a while because Disney World is just closed for a couple months now.
Yeah, and
it wasn't when we recorded it.
If I can give a travel tip on this podcast, I would like to say the best time to go to Disney World is in the before the plague destroyed the world and shut down Disney World forever.
Yep.
So
it's great that we have that episode for the archives of what was Disney World like.
Yeah, is Disney World about to be in the vault?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the... Well, we'll find out.
Well,
New
anyway,
adventures every day.
I really hope that in 2 weeks we can still make jokes about the quarantine and it hasn't ravaged society.
Yeah, this episode might not age very well.
This might not age very well. Speaking of things that didn't age very well.
Also, I do want to mention, we're making jokes about isolation and quarantine, whatever, but if you are on the front lines, if you are in a medical profession or work at a grocery store or restaurants, thank you so much. And I hope you're staying safe and healthy.
It's like our food delivery guys, we've been ordering food because we like restaurants. We want them to stay open. We want people to stay employed. So we've been tipping our food delivery guys extra, and they're absolute heroes. Everyone that works at our local grocery store, total hero, because they're getting paid not enough.
The same amount they were before.
This is a weird time.
Special thanks to those of you who do not have time to edit our podcast podcast for us right now.
Yeah, and special thanks to those of you that, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Dick, what was your first experience with the road to El Dorado?
None. None. My first experience with Road to El Dorado. No, my first experience with Road to El Dorado is the meme where they go, both sounds good. That's it.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it. It looked fine.
Mm-hmm.
But this was 2000. I didn't see. I mean, we'll talk about Groove next, but I wasn't like seeing Disney at this time. I don't think. I didn't really care. They were kind of in an area where I was like not that interested. So yeah, I missed El Dorado, which is interesting because I saw Prince of Egypt and loved it, but just somehow missed El Dorado.
Yeah.
What about you, Kate?
Well, since it was 2000, the first and only thing I knew about this movie were the Backstreet Boys recorded some music for it. And that is it.
And
that is
you
all
didn't
I knew.
see it?
I didn't see it, and I didn't even know the song because
Wow.
Because what happened is Elton John wrote the music for this movie, and they collaborated with Elton John on a song. But then I didn't even know what happened then. What I have researched now is that their record label had some dispute and never technically released them to be on the soundtrack. So they are uncredited as like basically backup singers for an Elton John song.
And like we heard the song with them in it, and you were like, "Is that the Backstreet Boys?
Is it this one? I feel like I should hear their individual
I don't know.
voices.
That might just be Elton John like layered a couple times.
It was the Backstreet Boys. So that's all I knew, and I knew it wasn't The Emperor's New Groove. It was kind of like if there's a Bug's Life and Ants, I'm gonna see the Disney one. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the extent of my knowledge.
Nice.
Before watching it for this podcast,
Kate.
I'm gonna do my best.
Yeah, Kate, you now have 2 minutes on the cookie timer to summarize this movie to the best of your abilities,
which is not very high. So
you know what? I believe in you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I gotta get this wiki up for names and things.
Trying to stay positive.
Got it.
You know?
Be positive.
What's that?
Legally Blonde reference for the musical.
Oh, the Legally Blonde the musical.
Keep it positive.
I know one song
those
from
are the
that.
words.
I like it. I like the one
it's-
song I know from it.
It's fine. All right, here I go. Road to El Dorado. El Dorado. Anyway, there are these two guys, Tulio and Miguel. They're con artists in a country. And they like gold and they like money. And so they want to go to El Dorado that they find out about from this other guy. And El Dorado is City of Gold. So they take a map and they get captured on a boat. Oops. And then they get off the boat and they row. And then they think they're dead. But no, they get on this island. And then through a series of waterfalls, they find, oh my gosh, we found El Dorado. Anyway, the locals end up thinking they're gods because there's this priest and this king that are in a power struggle. And they decide they're gods, and they end up, well, one of them falls in love with the girl there, and one of them falls in love with just, like, the culture. But they make the people make them a boat so that they can run off with all the gold in 3 days. But then, like, they kind of, like, want to stay, but not the guy who falls in love with the girl. He just wants to run away with the girl and the money. And so they they play a basketball game and one of them bleeds. And so, oops, they're not gods. Yikes. And the priest tries to take over with a stone cat meow who moves like him. He like inhabits it kind of because he's magical. And he kind of destroys things and then leaves because he's banished, I think. And then he finds Cortez, who's also from the con artist country. He's trying to find the gold. So this priest is trying to lead him through like the waterfall stuff to the village, and they have to save the village. Oh no. So the Tulio and Miguel, they've been estranged because they had different plans, but they join forces again. They like destroy the entrance to El Dorado with their boat and lose all their money, and then they have to leave El Dorado. That's just how it works. They can't come back in order to save it. And so they end up sacrificing their personal wealth for the good of this community. And El Dorado. they're on the road again.
The con artist country is Spain.
Is it definitely?
Yes.
Is it stated in this movie as
Yes.
such? It is stated as Spain.
Yes.
So I am getting a little turned around because this plot is based on, loosely, The Man Who Would Be King by Rudyard Kipling. So I was just reading about that.
Are you trying to talk about the kid in King Arthur's court?
No. So this and Rudyard Kipling's story, like most of his other ones, it's not Spain and El Dorado. It is England and India.
Yeah.
So these are English guys who go to India but they get bored of India, so they go to like Afghanistan and become gods.
Oh.
Yeah. So
It seems
I just
weird
am getting all my countries mixed up and decided not to make an error in the official Cookie Timer summary.
You just referred to an entire country as the con artist country.
Yeah.
That's better.
Well, I don't feel bad for Spain.
I feel like there's it's weird to base an animated movie off of a Rudyard Kipling novel. It's something that's never been done before, and something what
How many animated Jungle Books are there?
Right?
Like
so Jungle
7.
Book. Did he do Ricky Tikki Tavi?
Is that a full movie somewhere?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I started a thread that it turns out I don't have the answer to. He has a nice mustache, though.
Yeah.
So that's good for him.
He kind of looks like Teddy Roosevelt.
Kate, what? Yeah, he does. Ooh,
Yeah.
Let's do a crossover. Let's do a crossover episode of Rudyard
Kipling
Kipling and Teddy Roosevelt.
Sure, that sounds
Great.
like
That's
we'll have
my
a lot of
crossover.
animated movie material.
Absolutely. So, Kate, what general thoughts? Road to El Dorado.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Having never watched it and knowing that it was like the one that kind of lost to Emperor's New Groove in terms of they were both studios were aware that like it was kind of a race to get the first one out because they were so similar. And just in like
Emperor's
marketing
New Groove
premise.
got out first?
No.
Okay.
No, The Road to El Dorado bombed at the box office, and Emperor's New Groove did better, but not good by Disney standards.
Not good, yeah.
But like double what the Dorado made. So even though it was like March versus December, so it came out like 9 months later, and it's the one that everyone cared about. This was fun. Like, it is a specific reference to the road movies, with Bob Hope and someone.
Bing Crosby.
There we go.
Have we never watched a road movie together?
I've never watched a road movie.
Oh my God.
I've only watched road parodies.
Oh.
Or road references.
Oh.
Well, so that's the kind of fun, like, this movie is all about the dynamic between these two buddy frenemies.
Yeah.
Frenemies is kind of harsh. It's only like a certain, like a half of an act of the movie that they're not.
Yeah, they're mainly just friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they're played by Kenneth Branagh
And Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline.
Who Kevin Kline should be in every voice animated project.
Kevin Kline should be in everything. I've
so
never
good.
seen him in something where I was like, oh, I wish this was anyone but Kevin Kline.
Yeah. Kevin Kline, you had no complaints about in the Beauty and the Beast live action.
No,
Like,
he's
everything that Kevin Kline has done, great. The rest of the movie.
Like, should he have been in there like that? I don't know, but he was amazing. Yeah, Kevin Kline's great. And they together are so good.
They recorded in the same studio, which is less like Ernie Sabella and Nathan Lane did that, and these two guys, and it's very apparent, but it's not done very often.
Right, and especially if you're going to have like overtalk, if you're going to have like a little bit of like improv, a little bit of like play in the lines.
There is improv in this movie, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Some of their banter is just stuff they came up with in the studio, which like I get why you don't do that for everything, but when you have two characters who are like bouncing off each other like this, especially who are like kind of, always like improvising in the moment.
That's their characters.
Like their character is like, I don't know, let's figure this next thing out. I think it really works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had fun in this movie?
I had a blast.
Don't touch your face.
I'll do what I want. Yeah, I had a blast. This is a really fun movie.
Yeah. All right. What Emperor's New Groove?
Oh boy, yeah. What was your first experience with The Emperor's New Groove?
We saw this in theaters.
Whoa!
It was a December release, so it must have been sometime over like winter break.
Yeah.
We loved it. We had no idea what to expect because it's like the Disney movies before this are Dinosaur and Tarzan. And like looking back, Tarzan is a lot better than everyone at the time gave it credit for because when it comes out, you're comparing it to Lion King and Hunchback and things. And now you're like, oh, Tarzan is great. Like, have you seen Dinosaur? Tarzan's great. Like, so it is coming off of this Renaissance period. And so having something just totally different, which this movie does, like in tone and like the way the story works, was really fun. We laughed a lot. Very memorable characters. Yeah.
Nice.
We quoted this movie a lot.
Yeah.
What about you?
I first saw this movie like 2 years ago with you. Because you kept quoting it, and then I had to see it in order to understand when you kept saying, I'm a llama again.
Yay, I'm a llama again. Wait.
Yeah.
Favorite.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it on first viewing. On second viewing, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, this last time was a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know if
entertaining.
it's... I mean, we'll get into it. I don't know if it's because we saw El Dorado first, or because I've seen so much more since then, or because I'd already seen it again, so some of the fun surprises weren't there. But, yeah.
Cool. Dick, are you ready to cookie timer this?
No.
Hey, wildly unprepared for the summary.
Yeah, okay. So I
You
also
ready?
have Wikipedia up
Great.
so that I can get names.
Great.
Okay.
And go.
Okay, so they try and make this movie, and Sting is writing the soundtrack. But, wait. Oh, no, that's the documentary. Okay, so Emperor's New Groove. There's this guy named Kuzco. He's an emperor. He's a jerk. It's his birthday for some reason, and he's going to destroy a town in order to build his water park. Pacha, who's played by John Goodman, is like, hey, that's my town. Please don't destroy it. And Kuzco's like, too bad. Anyway, there's this lady named Yzma and Kronk, not a lady, just a guy. And they try to kill David Spade's Kuzco character. And instead of doing that, they turn him into a llama. What? He runs away and he meets Pacha, who's the guy who he tried to destroy his village earlier. And Pacha tries to get Kuzco back to the palace. But then, oh man, Kuzco doesn't cooperate because he's a jerk. And meanwhile, Yzma's trying to look for Kuzco so she can murder him. There's a squirrel. And Kuzco and Pacha keep running into trouble. And they learn that they should work together. And they'll be more successful if they work together like friends instead of like enemies or frenemies. So they do that. And it ends.
Well, he's still a llama.
He's a llama. So they have to go back and go into Yzma's laboratory to get the potion to turn him back into a human. And then there's a fight scene and a chase scene. And then he gets turned back into a human. And
Yay,
Yzma
I'm
gets
a
turned into a
human
kitty
again.
cat.
Yeah.
And it's a happy ending.
Does he build his water park?
Everyone loves kitty cats. Kind of.
No,
What?
he doesn't.
Oh.
That's the whole point. Anyway.
What? Wait, really?
Yeah, that's the ending that Sting changed.
No, they're like sliding down a water slide at
No,
the
they're
end.
sliding down a waterfall
But
because he learns to enjoy the simple pleasures. He builds a cottage, but not a park.
oh, really?
Yes.
But Pacha says, there's like a mountain, or no.
Yep.
Yeah, at the
Yeah,
end, they're like, there's
he
a
does.
mountain right next to mine.
Yeah.
That would be great for a water park.
But then he decides not to build a water park. When he goes, booyah, out of that
Wait,
door,
is
it's
that,
just a cottage.
Are you serious?
Sting changed the ending.
No,
he
but
was
I
successful.
I thought they were in a water park at the end anyway.
I don't think that's the case.
Oh my God. That
All
was
right.
not. Well, he clearly.
See, you didn't know the difference. He didn't need a water park to have fun.
No, he
You can't
clearly,
tell the difference if it's a waterfall.
He clearly said they both agreed, like, hey, let's build this water park on the next mountain over,
Yeah.
implying that
that's-
they were building a water park.
You're right about that conversation.
So even though it is not in the book anywhere, he changed his mind and did not build a water
it's
park.
just visually there. You don't see the water park, so
Oh
that's
my
how
god,
it's in the text.
I did not get
Yeah.
that. Well,
So Wikipedia describes it as a modest and smaller resort. So we're probably both right.
that's really unclear.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's fine.
so Sting changed the end of this movie.
Yeah,
We want to talk about that.
Do we just want to jump into that real quick?
I will say both of these movies started out as kind of more serious epic projects.
That's yes.
For the Road to El Dorado, it was going to be they were
Wait, like the movie Epic where
no.
where
The Road
Steven
to
Tyler plays Nimgaloo?
No.
Okay.
The Road to El Dorado was conceived that at least it got far enough in production that they were aiming for a PG-13 rating. So there was it was going to be
I could see that.
Very adulty. It was going to be very much more sexy, much more scandalous, and there's still an inappropriate amount of sexual innuendo in there.
I was surprised.
But it changed courses once they had kind of congealed Prince of Egypt, and Katzenberg decided we can't do two of these in a row. We need to lighten this one up, and so then it changed to the road to El Dorado as a buddy comedy. So that changed that way, and I feel like that's less of a stretch for that movie. It seemed to work as this one. The Emperor's New Groove, though. So here's where we were. 2 hours ago?
We were about to start recording.
We had everything set up.
And then you were looking, we always do some quick last minute, let's see if there's anything we missed. Because we watch these both streaming. We don't have behind the scenes features or whatever.
Right.
But you found.
So I found that this started, and I knew this, I had some dots that hadn't been connected. This started as a movie called Kingdom of the Sun, which was originally intended to be a full-on Renaissance musical to stand up with Aladdin and Lion King.
Yeah.
Directed by, story originally is by Roger Allers, one of the directors of The Lion King. Anyway, giant in scope. It's going to be this mystic land, and it's going to have a big, Yzma was intended to be a Scar kind of presence, big and bad,
evil queen.
Yeah. And so they hired Sting to write the songs, kind of a la Elton John in The Lion King, and they went through this for a year and a half, and then they showed it to the bigwigs, and they hated it.
They were like, this doesn't work at all.
Over the next 6 months, it entirely changed directions. Roger Allers ends up leaving the project. His co-director stays on.
No one that started on the project, or many of the big people that started on the project.
The co-director wasn't there to begin with.
Right.
He was brought in. So a whole big thing, and then it ends up essentially being a buddy comedy. It does seem like the main core of the message of ego versus humility remain intact, and there's a prince who turns into a llama, but that's pretty much it.
So you found.
So I found that all of this is chronicled in a never released documentary by Sting's wife, Trudy Styler, who Sting we just said wrote the music. It's called the Steambox, the Sweatbox. And it's an hour-and-a-half documentary that started when they were doing Kingdom of the Sun and ends with Emperor's New Groove.
So it starts very much like every Disney documentary you've ever seen.
Any featurette on a DVD.
And then halfway through, there's kind of a thing where everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
And then it kind of ends like every Disney documentary you've ever seen. But there's a really fascinating 45 minutes of it where it's just oh, no one's happy. No one knows what's going on.
At one
Sting
point,
thought he was supposed to be done a year ago.
That's the theme of this documentary is Sting thinks he's done writing music. No. He's not. At one point they have 6 different storyboard outlines that they're like they have different pairs of people on. It sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. So this is only on YouTube as far as I was able to find.
It was conceived. So what I learned was that part of Sting's initial contract, part of the terms was that Trudy Styler had access to make a documentary about it.
Yeah, nice.
And so it seems like this premiered at some movie festival, but then was like never, it was supposed to be distributed by Disney, and Disney didn't have a problem with it. It just was never released. So the YouTube video that we watched, that we'll probably link out,
it claims it's banned.
Banned Disney documentary.
It's not banned.
It just never.
It just didn't get released. But it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Really worth watching. So,
yeah. We learned so much, and also like we understand why Kingdom of the Sun didn't work. You had too many things going on, but some of the footage and some of the songs that Sting wrote.
Eartha Kitt's song.
Eartha Kitt gets, like, from the clip that we heard, and apparently this is on the soundtrack that they released, she has, like, maybe one of the best Disney villain songs of the decade. I don't know.
No.
Who knows? You got to listen to the full version of it. But the clips we heard
I understand that you are very
epic.
excited about it. There's no possibility that it is the best Disney song of the decade.
Villain song.
Villain song of the decade. Well, I don't know. What decade is that?
I mean, that's Be Prepared.
That's the
and
2000s?
It's all the good ones, yeah. It's
Well,
all the good ones.
so that's not Be
Well,
Prepared.
yeah, I guess if 2000, it is maybe the only song of the, I guess Mother Knows Best is 2010.
Well,
so
where's
that's a new
Friends
decade.
on the Other Side?
Friends, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to listen to this whole thing, because the clips I heard seemed like it took Friends on the Other Side to the next level, and I love Friends on the Other Side.
Friends on the Other Side was good enough that it stayed in the movie, so...
Anyway, it sounds like Eartha Kitt was supposed to be involved in a lot of songs, and now she's involved in none, and it just made me really sad.
Yeah, she had a much bigger part in the original movie.
Yes.
And it's a bummer because she's amazing.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
So where they end up is buddy comedies.
Yeah.
And Dick, like, you've seen road movies.
Yeah.
I have not.
Oh.
Like, how do these frenemies end up working in terms of, like, buddy comedy archetypes and dynamics?
All right. So I'll answer this in two ways.
Mm-hmm.
So specifically in regard to the road movies,
Mm-hmm.
which are the Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, Road to Casablanca, Road to wherever.
Yeah.
Fairly unlike them. Road to El Dorado has like some, you could tell it takes inspiration from it because they're two guys who are like kind of, they're not like bumbling idiots, but they're not smart, and they just kind of like play it by ear.
They're constantly improvising.
So in that way, it kind of feels like it. But as far as like a buddy comedy in general, I think Road to El Dorado like absolutely succeeds in that, especially the first half hour or so.
Yeah, the first act is really strong.
It's so good. Like it's it's just super. Like I'm trying to find a good comparison.
Well, it's worth mentioning here that the writers are Russo and Elliott.
Yeah.
Is that the last names?
I believe so.
So it's the guys who wrote Pirates, the screenplay for Pirates. It's the guys who punched up Aladdin. They basically wrote Aladdin. Muskin Clements had a draft, but they basically wrote Aladdin.
You really feel like, especially that intro, the intro to this movie is somewhere between the beginning of Titanic and the beginning of Aladdin. Where like in Titanic, he like wins a ticket to go on to the Titanic in a poker game. In this, they win the map to El Dorado in a
dice game.
Or win.
Elliot and Rossio. I
Elliot
always
and
forget
Rossio.
the second guy's name.
But yeah, so like there's this like kind of fun adventure vibe where like, you know, there's danger, but it's not real danger, but they're like one jump ahead of the bread line, one step ahead of the sword. They
All
steal
wit
only what they can't afford, and that's everything.
Cleverness, yeah.
Yeah, so it's got that real energy, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Emperor's New Groove, maybe it's not as fair to call a buddy comedy. It is a comedy, and it centers on characters who become buddies
Yeah.
and learn how to work together.
Yeah, I'd say it's still it's like a mismatch buddy comedy. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, one of those cop movies where it's like, you got to work with this guy. What? I hate this guy. Ooh, we're butting heads, and in the end, hey, we're like, so it's more of a Lethal Weapon, where it's two cops that don't necessarily like each other, that by the end are best friends and inseparable, and they solve the thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to like I can't think of a better example. So like a Blues Brothers, where like we are together at the beginning.
Yeah.
We have some falling out, but we are together at the end.
I mean, that's more the road to El Dorado.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the dynamic here. And I think it's interesting that these are paired together in the documentary we watched. Pacha, the John Goodman character, is described as the glue of the movie. And I think that's very, like, he's the heart of the movie, right? Wait, why are you laughing?
Because he wasn't in the movie.
Well, he wasn't.
Initially.
This was after the switch.
I just say, I think you're like, yeah, he's the heart and the glue of the movie. And he is, but it was originally...
They needed to create a character to have the movie be gluey.
Because it was what, Owen Wilson?
So originally it was The Prince and the Pauper.
Yeah.
But also the prince turned into a llama.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were trying to do a lot of things. Yeah, Owen Wilson and David Spade played South American characters who looked alike, and they trade places.
Let's talk about that real quick. When I watched this, or when we watched this recently, rewatched this for the podcast, you made a comment like, this is all white people playing these characters. And I was like, yeah. And you were like, well, they're not white. And I was like, what?
That's very interesting to me.
I mean, so this takes place theoretically in Peru?
Cusco, from the Wikipedia, Cusco is the young, selfish, and overly pampered emperor of the Inca Empire.
I did not
So
pick
that's
that.
like Peru-ish, right?
Yeah.
Machu Picchu, that's all Inca.
Like, there's mountains
Yep.
and there's llamas. Part of it is I know like nothing about Peru.
I thought you were going to say llamas.
I know some things about llamas. But
Llamas or llamas? Sting maybe wasn't sure.
Sting might have
The British pronunciation might be llama.
He might have made an entire song rhyming the word llama.
Yeah. And it might have been on purpose or not.
So, I don't know anything about Peru or Machu Picchu or anything like that. So it's entirely possible that this is on me. But also, the movie doesn't go out of its way to be like, here is where we are.
They do not. That is true.
It's just like, there's an emperor, and he's a jerk, and here's this other guy. And since... like, they're all voiced by white people.
Yeah.
Except for Eartha Kitt, who is She's a purple lady.
Yeah.
So never in my mind was I like, oh, this is set somewhere.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, it's a fantasy world. Whereas Road to El Dorado, very, like, not only do they literally say it.
They literally mean it.
But, like, you see the world that they come from. You see the world that they go to.
Yeah.
You see, like, there's attention paid to the architecture and everything. And it helps that that's a plot point. But you can tell that they are in a place. In this, it's just in Emperor's New Groove, I feel like it's just like, we're in a place. I don't know. It doesn't matter where.
It's kind of nice, right? That they're not tokenizing it or drawing attention to... I mean, I think the signifier for me is all the except for Yzma, all the characters are brown.
Ish.
But I guess in Road to El Dorado you have a direct contrast.
Right.
With the Spaniards look very white, as Spaniards do, and then the Eldoradians definitely have a darker skin tone.
Right. But yeah, in Emperor's New Groove, like, they're brownish.
They're tan.
They're tan, but the other character is purple.
Yeah, but they all have black hair and they have a face shape. It's
Kronk Doesn't Kronk have blonde hair?
What? No.
Oh, never mind.
He has like gold-plated armor
That's
kind of
like
thing.
hair.
No, his hair is black.
Anyway.
All their hair is black.
Anyway, the little girl's hair is red.
What?
The little girl's hair is red.
That's absolutely false.
It's 100% true. I will fight you on this. I will.
Pacha, Kids,
I'm
Emperor,
not editing this out. Because this is worth it.
Image. Nope. She's got a red like hair twisty in one of the pigtails.
Who has red hair in this movie?
No one. You saw maybe a different movie. Are your eyes okay?
No.
Have you been sequestered into... Yeah. No one has red hair.
Well, I still blame the movie.
Not a single person.
I still blame the movie instead of me.
The squirrels are brown. Are
There
you thinking
we
of the
go.
squirrels?
Oh, wait.
What do you...
The Emperor theme song guy.
Tom Jones. Yeah.
Theme song guy
Tom
has
Jones
red hair.
has Tom Jones hair.
Boom.
There we go.
Boom.
But look at the difference in their skin tone.
Looks the same to me.
Uh-huh.
So theme song guy has red hair.
Emperor's New Groove takes place in South America. All white actors.
Yeah.
Except for Eartha Kitt. But El Dorado does a little better in that respect. Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh are the Europeans. And, well, that's fair. But
that's an American and an Englishman.
But for real, you have Rosie Perez and Edward James Olmos and Armand Asante playing the El Doradans.
Did Edward James not get in the movie?
You make this joke every time.
Yeah, it's a good joke.
Anyway, so they have people of color playing the people of color, which is nice.
It's something.
You know.
It's something.
It's nice. It's all white creators. But
Neither of these movies are cultural touchstones.
No. Sting realized that toward the end of this movie.
Yeah, Sting is like...
Sting hadn't been aware of Pocahontas,
he was not
what we
aware
learned
of
in the
Disney.
documentary.
Yeah, he was just like, because it sounded like it started out more respectful to the culture and more rooted in the culture.
And Sting's a world music guy, so he was bringing in panpipes and he was bringing in percussion from that part of the world.
And the one song they kept was the Tom Jones song.
I was at least like a little bit like Cuban Caribbean. I don't know.
So let's talk about some music.
Sure.
Because there's one song, right?
Well, so the other interesting thing is that these movies started as something different, but they both started as musical. At one point in the process,
were like full on.
They
musicals.
were designed to be like characters singing songs, musicals.
And both songwriters were under that impression the whole time.
That's correct.
So Emperor's New Groove, correct me if I'm wrong, has one song in it.
It's a bookend song. It's technically there are two instances of the song, but it's the same song.
It's the theme song guy, Cuzco.
Perfect world begins and ends with you.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Yeah.
It's the only song that's in there, and it is sung by technically a character.
Theme song guy. Voiced by Tom Jones.
His official name.
A tiny Tom Jones caricature.
And he doesn't really do anything aside from sing the theme song.
Yep.
So it's kind of not a character. Now, Road to El Dorado has many songs throughout. Only one of them is sung by the characters.
That's correct.
And that is the song where they like kind of trip out.
Yeah, it's tough to be a god. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It's tough to be a bug.
Yeah.
Do.
They probably stole it from the Animal Kingdom attraction.
Pretty fun song. I like it more than you do.
This is Elton John and Tim Rice. And Aida comes out in 99. This movie comes out in 2000.
Yeah.
So they're writing kind of both at the same time.
Which is interesting. And like this.
So the song. So what ends up happening is that Elton John kind of Phil Collinses it. That's what ends up being asked of him. But he's written all these songs for characters, for dialogue scenes, for different things. And he ends up being credited as the singing narrator. He does not appear on screen like Tom Jones.
No.
But basically he is singing as like background score.
Yes.
Essentially in a bunch of scenes, except for this Tough to Be a God, but that Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh sing, and the scene is uneven. It's fun, but they're trying to go for Friend Like Me, and I don't think anyone wanted to put in the time for it to be that, so it just kind of happens.
Yeah, the Trail We Blaze is a song like this, so the rest of the songs are sung by Elton John.
Yes.
The Trail We Blaze I thought was really successful.
Yeah, I think so too.
Really
and I kind of wish
fun.
the characters would have been singing it. Like I can see how that would work.
Yeah, but I will say, like, we criticized Brother Bear, and Spirit to an extent, and for just
I forgot about those Brian Adams,
yeah,
in Spirit. Those were dumb.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Except for the one where he's like, we've talked about Spirit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So we've criticized movies for having just like a pop song in the middle of the movie. I think they worked in this.
They work here.
Like, it helps that they were intentionally written for the characters to sing.
Right.
And then kind of changed so that Elton John could sing them.
Yeah.
Which was like I can't remember the producer's name, but one of the producers was like, we decided to, we wanted to separate ourselves from like the traditional Disney musical.
Yeah. Although what it ends up looking like is Tarzan from literally the year earlier.
Right. Which is
fine.
But I thought, like, in general, the Elton John sung songs were pretty successful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And
what's also
you were telling me that you thought the music in this was better than Lion King.
I was not saying that. But I will say that they, just like Prince of Egypt, and Lion King, they got Hans Zimmer to do the score.
Oh.
So the score is awesome.
Oh, the score is amazing.
And even if I had never looked at a Wikipedia article, I know that this movie didn't do well in the box office because all the score is a slightly less developed version of everything in the Pirates of the Caribbean score that comes out 3 years later. It's like directly, there are themes that are exactly the same.
Yeah, it's like
dun, 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 dun. The Jeffrey Rush theme from the Barbossa theme is the villain's theme in this movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dun 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 dun,
and it's great. Like, it's great, but it's
highly distracting to watch.
And it's
anytime after Pirates comes out, though.
It's less hooky. Like, there's less of a hook.
Yes.
It's more backgroundy, but it is definitely there. Like, I didn't notice it until you pointed it out, and then I couldn't not hear it.
And then you can't not hear it. Yeah.
It's like bum 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 da 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 do.
When's Jack Sparrow coming out? Like,
it sounded almost like a really good, you know, when like so there's a great there's a great YouTube video about temp tracks that I'll try and find and link out. And what happens is, I mean, we've talked about this with Beauty and the Beast, right?
With Alan Menken.
Is someone will put in a temp track, like a temporary music track, to show a director a cut of a movie and convey the emotion.
Mood. Like the song I compose is going to sound like Aquarium from Carnival of the Animals.
Yeah, and then the director will be like, "Oh no, don't change it. I like that one."
And then Alan Menken will go, "No."
Yeah,
and write an awesome score for Beauty and the Beast.
But that's why, like, every movie sounded like the beginning of Inception for a while. That's why every Marvel movie sounds almost exactly the same, is because they put in those temp tracks. Director's like, well, just make that. I like that. So it sounds like someone took Pirates, laid in that temp track, and then the director was like, can you do something that sounds like Hans Zimmer's score from Pirates?
And Hans Zimmer said, okay.
Yeah, so instead of dun 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 dun, we'll do dun 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 dun. Like, yeah, we'll just switch up like 3 notes. It'll be fine.
Maybe that's what they did in Pirates. Maybe Jerry Bruckheimer was like, this road to El Dorado, it's got a pretty good score.
Do you think Hans Zimmer was phoning it in Pirates and accidentally wrote some really great music?
That would be funny.
Yeah.
He would admit to it. Hans Zimmer is delightful.
Yeah. What's a Doji question? Yeah.
So how does it like, do these movies need more music? Would it have been fun do the songs the one song in each movie that ends up being sung by nominally a character, does it work?
So, this is harder to answer after watching the documentary.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so...
It sounds like Sting, brought his A+++ game to Kingdom of the Sun.
Sting worked really hard.
Those songs sound really good.
But I'll also say, just even the theme song song.
Yeah.
The Kuzco song, it seems like that was maybe a song that spanned a couple of characters. Mm-hmm. Because we saw a clip where Eartha Kitt is singing that as Yzma.
Begins and ends. Yeah. Oh.
So.
Oh, I'm so mad.
If that song was the intro, and different characters kind of got their intro, that would have been really fun.
Yeah.
I would have liked that. Would it have made the movie better? I don't know.
Or would it have felt so? What you're talking about is a little bit of what El Dorado does, which is having the characters sing. And one of the reasons it didn't work for me, even though I love musical theater, definitely have the characters sing to me, is because they never sang before or again.
Yeah.
And so it just felt very jarring. Even if those two guys had sung that traveling song or whatever, there would have been a precedent for oh, okay, this scene, when they're kind of having their own adventure in their head.
Yeah.
They sing. There's no conceit for it that worked. What the scene needed is for them to be maybe speaking some lyrics and then make it very clear that oh, now they've entered a new stage of drunkenness or they've taken some drug.
Yeah.
And now it's fantastical and they're singing. But it wasn't quite clear. It's kind of implied, but not as clear. People are just drinking in general.
I liked that scene more than you did, but I understand your criticism.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I wonder if doing that in Emperor's New Groove just would have made it awkward because if Yzma never sings again,
open with a song and then we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But adding in a theme song guy.
Yeah.
Whose character is the guy that sings.
And he's the only one that sings that I think functions more logically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd say if anything, I think El Dorado is generally fine. I do think that the one character song could have used a little more build up.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm okay with where it is. But Road to
Emperor's New Groove.
Thank you. Yeah, could have used a little kick in the ass somewhere. I feel like a little music, because music is a little bit like a monologue where you can say you can't have a character come out and say, I feel sad right now because of this. But you can do that in a song and it works. And I think they could have built more character if they had some more music in there.
And I wonder, so my kind of takeaway, okay, I'm trying to think of how I want to frame this. So Emperor's New Groove won the cultural war against Road to El Dorado.
It's the more popular of the two movies.
Yes, more people have seen it.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I see someone talking about Road to El Dorado, people who have seen it generally like it.
Yeah.
But no one's really seen it.
Right.
Why do you think Emperor's New Groove won the cultural war, and should it? Should it have?
Disney.
I
think is why.
Yeah.
Should it have? That's interesting. And I will say, Emperor's New Groove, I don't think anyone cared about for a while, but it's had a renaissance where people, I feel are now looking back and really appreciating it and saying oh, you know what? We kind of overlooked this, but when Dinosaur is coming out and Emperor's New Groove is coming out, oh, you got a pretty good movie here.
Yeah.
Should it be the better remembered movie? I mean, no. I think it's a pretty good movie. People have kind of reappreciated it, and I think it's a good movie. It didn't strike me as much the second time watching it. Road to El Dorado, I had a blast with. I think the first act is stronger than the second and third by far, but I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, if one of these is going to be remembered, I would love it to be the Road to El Dorado.
Over Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
That's interesting. So I had a similar experience to you this time, and I think we've said this a bunch of times before on the podcast. Expectation is everything.
It makes a difference.
It colors your everything when viewing a movie. So I didn't have high expectations for Road to El Dorado and knew I loved Emperor's New Groove. So going into both and having my expectations like surpassed in El Dorado, and for Emperor's New Groove being like, oh, I don't laugh as much as I thought I did in this movie, colored it to a certain degree. I do, in favor of Emperor's New Groove, that movie is about something. Like the Emperor's New Groove has a character dynamic arc, right?
Sure.
And it is about putting aside your ego for the good of a community. And Pacha is related to that, and Yzma is the foil to that, and that's all of Cusco's arc. The Road to El Dorado technically has that, right? They want gold, and then at the end they abandon gold for this community they found, but there's not a solid thread, like you said, through that second and third act that is directly connected to that. Like, I kind of came out of that movie being like, oh, I was very entertained. I love a lot of these scenes. I'm not really sure what this movie is about. Like, I know what happened in it, but I don't know what it's about.
So for me, I'm okay with that. And actually, I find it like refreshing.
And that's like a road comedy, right? It's that same thing. It's not about anything.
It's like, what's it about? It's about these guys doing an adventure.
Yeah.
Do they learn stuff? Maybe. But it's not like, I think the Disney formula is very successful, but the formula of there's a thing this person needs to overcome or wants to overcome, and then they either overcome it or realize that it's not the actual problem, and then everything is resolved in the end. It's very successful, but also there are other ways to do animated movies. So when I get to experience something that's different, it's honestly a little refreshing. So that's where I think Road to El Dorado really speaks to me, is like, just like we talk about when we watch a Miyazaki movie, like it's a different form of storytelling. It's a different way of presenting a story. And this is similar. Like, I don't know a Disney movie that functions like this, where it's just like, here is a story. We're not going to tell you.
I don't know good Disney movies that function.
I don't know a Disney movie that functions like that, where they're like, here's a story. We're not going to tell you what to feel about it.
It's not. There's not like a sentence, because even The Good Dinosaur, that's all over the place, is about making your mark.
Yeah,
right?
there's a moral.
There's a tagline.
There's a tag. Yeah, to every Disney movie. And I kind of like that in this one. It's just like maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but the point is, like, these two guys are on an adventure. I like that.
Yeah. That's fair.
Okay, you want to?
Is it time?
I mean, we've got like 8 more weeks in quarantine, so we can keep this going.
Oh no, that's not. Those are not good principles to lead a podcast.
Well, let's do the final cut.
Let's final cut this. So our first segment of final cut, words, scene, shout out. Shout out. I did not think about this at all. I forgot about segments as we were watching these movies. Usually I have something in the back of my mind.
Yeah, you're usually prepared. So now we're on even footing.
Yeah. Shout out a scene from Road to El Dorado.
Road to El Dorado, my scene shout out will be Kenneth Branagh and Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
I forget their characters' names. When they I got a line shout out.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay,
that's a thing.
I have a line shout out, and then I'll do a scene.
Okay.
Line shout out is when they're trying to get onto the boat at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
They hide in barrels.
Yeah.
And one of them says to the other, like, "What's going on? Where are we going?" And the line is,
"We are in barrels. That is the extent of my knowledge."
Oh, so good. So the scene where they are, they have escaped the boat that they were like kind of stowed away on, and they are now in a rowboat with a horse.
Yeah, they are.
And they are like saying these beautiful super melodramatic, over the top goodbyes to each other. And like, I get the feeling, one, they've done this a bunch of times before. And two, it's like, it's really kind of sweet. Like, they're like, hey, you are the adventure that I crave. And oh, you are the treasure. You're like the true treasure in my life. And like, it's very sweet, but also like very melodramatic. So it's funny. But I think it's a really good explanation and exploration of these characters.
There's a monster in the alley.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Don't know if you can hear, but there's a monster
Big
outside.
banging noises.
And I think that's the kind of cool thing is like both of these characters are similar, but one is more like, I want gold. One is more like, I want to do interesting things. So I really love that scene. It really helps define the characters, and it's so much like fun back and forth.
Yeah.
That I'm sure is like partially just Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh having a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that back and forth is kind of my real scene shout out, like just any time that happens. But I will, speaking of monsters in the alley, I will shout out. So here's an example of why I'm like 80% on board with this movie, because it has so many cool starter scenes that don't go anywhere.
Okay.
One example of this, and
Yeah.
it's going to be my scene shout out, is the priest who's kind of been like,
He's the Jafar.
he's the Jafar, yes. And it's unclear, like we think he does believe they're gods, but he's trying to leverage their presence for him to be in charge next. So he's kind of scheming this whole time, and he's got like potion magic.
Yeah.
He can do vapors and stuff. And during the I guess climax of the movie, it doesn't feel like it at the time. It feels like there should be another one, but this is it. He awakens, he sits on this throne that's like a giant kind of cat, I guess is the...
It's like a giant cat statue,
like
like a
wild cat.
jaguar statue.
Yeah. And he throws these potions together. This guy who has kind of been sidekick / general guard of the city, he just tosses him into the potion
He just
thing.
kicks him into the pit. He's
He
like,
just kills a guy on
he
screen.
says, he tastes it and he goes, needs more body. And then
Yeah.
he kicks the guy's body
Boom.
in. Oh,
So he kills a guy,
just murked. Just dead.
The vapors roll up, and then his 60-foot throne comes to life as a jaguar that he controls with his body. So then he gets on all fours like a jaguar and starts doing that Shaq and the Kitty shimmy with the shoulders, and then the stone jaguar does it too with glowing eyes, and then he sicks it on the whole village. It's so cool. We both audibly gasped during this scene. It doesn't really go anywhere. That cat's alive for a scene, and then he gets drowned in lava.
I think he doesn't get drowned in lava.
He wipes off the lava. Where does he end up?
He ends up getting thrown into the pit to nowhere. Because remember, he gets thrown into the lava and then he gets out.
Yeah. So it's like a temporary setback more than a big bad situation.
Yeah.
But it's really cool.
Yeah, the big bad of this movie is kind of Cortez.
But not really.
But not
He's
really.
a fake big bad.
Yeah.
The big bad is the priest.
Yeah, it kind of...
It doesn't have a big bad.
I understand that criticism. That's fair.
It, either have one or don't.
Yeah.
And this movie it plays a weird...
I like that priest, though.
Gray space. I liked him, but I could never figure out what he was doing, which is fine if you do eventually.
You
and
were
never
less clear about whether he believed they were gods or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought he believed they were gods
Okay.
until they bled.
Yeah.
I did not realize
the chief
chief was just like, no, these aren't gods.
Yeah, he
They're
knew
just
the whole
guys.
time.
No.
But what did that knowledge do for nothing?
don't
Anyway,
know.
the cat was cool.
Thank you.
Stone cat. Woo.
Yeah.
Dick, if you're going to name an MVP,
I would actually like to shout out a scene from the second movie.
we could do that first. We can go in the normal order
Go in the
of the
normal
show.
order
That's
and do the
fine if
normal
that's
segments?
something you want to do.
Okay. Just switching it up by doing it normal. Kate, I would like to shout out a scene from Emperor's New
Go for it.
Groove.
Groove.
Okay. It's not much,
Okay.
but I really enjoy the scene it's pretty good. Where they're Cusco and Pacha are on a bridge, and then the bridge banks, and they're hanging in vines, and then they're having a fight while hanging in vines.
They're like punching and swinging.
And then, the punching and swinging is great.
Yeah.
Then they fall, almost get eaten by alligators or crocodiles, whichever one's in Peru, and then have to like work together to get back up. Mm-hmm. I think it's an effective scene because it's just a temporary setback, but they have to learn something in order to get out. Mm-hmm. So they fall down a thing. They have to work together to get out of the thing. I think it's an effective scene, and I love the vine fight. Yeah. I just think it's really funny.
Well, and it's even more effective because it comes back at the end, that they have to do that same back-to-back climbing at the end. That's good. Yeah.
What about you?
I like the end scene. So I think in both of these movies, they are best when their characters are just bantering. Like, you've got a great cast here and some really snappy writing. Patrick Warburton as Kronk and Eartha Kitt as Yzma just play back and forth so nicely. And so my scene shout out is going to be kind of the ending action sequence, starting with Cusco getting into Yzma's lab by activating a gag from earlier, which is why do we even have that lever?
Yeah. Yeah, the lever that's to a crocodile pit or alligator pit.
So you see them come in, and then they have to battle Yzma and Kronk, and they're flipping around all these potion vials that can turn you into various things. So there's a little bit of the sword in the stone sequence of like, oh, now he's a whale, and what are they going to do as a whale? Now he's a bat, now he's a whatever, and so he's poof, poof, poof into different animals, and when he's a whale, he breaks down this bridge, and then that gets him to a different stage in the combat. Really fun. And then he's switching, drinks a potion, poof, he turns into a llama. His line, "Yay, I'm a llama again." Wait, it catches you as the audience in the same position that you're like, oh, good, he's back to, oh no, that's not the goal, right?
Yeah, and it's a quote that you use
because it's just so relevant by accident through a lot of like
if we're lost and then we end up in a spot that we recognize where we were still lost, or we're back here. Oh,
for a while it was a daily use. Daily use was appropriate because Trump would fire someone in his administration, and you're like, yes, and then you realize oh no, he gets to appoint the next person holds that position, and they're going to be worse. So you're like, yay, I'm a llama. It has so many uses.
Remember Sean Spicer?
No, I don't remember.
Decades ago.
I don't remember last Thursday.
No,
how am I supposed to remember Sean Spicer? Cool. So now, would you like to name an MVP now that we are done with the first segment?
Sting.
Say more.
Man.
He never gave up.
Sting's an honorary MVP because he's not felt in the movie at all.
No, well,
he's an MVP of the documentary about the movie we watched. You got to watch
that. His wife produced.
Sting is amazing in that he does not give a shit. He's not very good at he cares about the movie. He just doesn't give a shit about appearing.
He cares about his work in the movie.
Yeah, he doesn't care about looking good on the camera.
No.
He doesn't care about
collaborating.
He's not great at it, it appears.
No.
Amazing. But my MVP of these movies, well, I'm going to give it a joint MVP to Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh because they're amazing. Yes, I did take yours.
Yeah, they are
You're
amazing.
welcome. They're so good.
Oh, man. Who am I? Oh, man. Well, now... Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
Eartha Kitt's songs. Let me give my MVP to
not in the movie.
Her cut songs from the movie, her performances in those songs.
Okay.
Because it just sounds like she can do this. She sounds like she has such a frail voice, and it's like so much vocal fry and squeaky, and then she can just belt out a song.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Would you say that she would still be an MVP if you hadn't heard those cut songs?
I would probably give it to Patrick Warburton first, just because like Sting is not a presence felt in the movie. Eartha Kitt is like a half presence in this movie.
Yeah.
She's great
Yeah.
in what they've used, but Patrick Warburton's Kronk stands out more in this movie because it's just so surprising and refreshing. And also Patrick Warburton's voice is one of my favorite things to have in my ears. Like he's so fun.
Patrick Warburton, we were saying like H. John Benjamin, Patrick Warburton,
Fred Willard, these voices that just cannot sound different if
Louise?
they try. Kristen Shaw.
Kristen Shaw.
Yeah.
There are some people with like super unique voices that it's just like, I just want you to like, no, don't put on an accent. Don't try to just give us
keep talking
this
and being funny.
Exact voice.
Yeah.
Your voice is amazing.
Yeah. So honorary Patrick Warburton, but Eartha Kitt, because just like Sting, she gave it her all and it wasn't used. That sucks.
Kate, do you want to cross something over between these two movies, and what is it that you would like to cross over?
Yeah.
This could be characters, this could be creators, this could be like Happy Meal toys, if you think the Kronk Happy Meal toys should have been shipped with the El Dorado Happy Meal toys. So I wonder
what would happen if Kingdom of the Sun's first director, Roger Allers, were to like collaborate with Elton John and Tim Rice on a movie. It would be really interesting. Like maybe not set it in like South America, maybe like Africa.
Oh, maybe you could get Beyonce and John Oliver.
Get out of here. Leave. Get out of here. No, The Lion King already exists. Yeah. I don't have to cross over to make that. Maybe crossover, because these weren't working as full musicals, right? But maybe the crossover is having, combining the two parts that did end up being musical theater in them. So, like, each movie having both bookend songs and a song in the middle that's fun.
Yeah.
Just to, like, Elton John and Tim Rice and Sting worked very hard on these scores, and I feel like I want to hear more of what they intended in their original work, and so that would kind of give more...
Wait, so what's the crossover?
The crossover is that each movie is going to have both a bookend song and a fun song in the middle. So El Dorado has the song it has and some bookend songs sung by characters.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And The Emperor's New Groove is going to have the bookend songs and a song in the middle.
Okay.
Sung by Eartha Kitt.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Do you have a crossover?
I do.
All right.
I'm going to cross over Tim Rice with Bjorn and Benny from ABBA. And they're going to write a musical about the game of chess. And it's going to be amazing.
We're really good at crossover.
Thank you. No, so my crossover will be a little bit less...
convoluted?
I was going to say intellectual, but yeah, convoluted is the word. And I would just like Kronk to be involved in El Dorado.
Yes, please.
And I would like to see the evil priest from Road to El Dorado work with Yzma.
Yeah.
I think they would be very fun together because like Yzma and Kronk work very well.
Yeah.
But Yzma is a very funny character, and I feel like she has to play the straight man to Kronk.
Yeah.
But the priest from El Dorado is very flat. Mm-hmm. And for Yzma to be the funny character, I think would be great.
Yeah, I think El Dorado could benefit from some more camp than it has.
Yeah.
Which is what Yzma would bring. Because the priest, if we're going to call him Jafar...
Well, so Kronk is in El Dorado. The priest is in...
Oh, you're putting the priest into... I see what you're saying.
Crossed them over.
Okay. I thought just all of them are working together all the time.
No.
I see.
I've crossed them over like our segment.
All right. Well, segment can take many forms.
Uh-huh.
Also, when you started to say Tim Rice, I wonder if Tim Rice would have helped Sting understand what musical theater is. Like, not Sting wrote great songs, but understand the process a little bit more.
It seems like Sting was not prepped.
It seems
on
like
the
Sting
process.
was like, no, I'm finished with this song. I cannot change it for your movie now. They're like, well, no, we need like an
That's not how
extra
this
4
works.
seconds, or we need to cut some 4 seconds because the animation works like this. And Sting's like,
No.
no, F off. But like Tim Rice maybe could have been like, Sting, it's not you. This is just how
This is how it's gonna
how
happen.
the process works of
Yeah.
writing a musical. I don't know.
Yeah.
They scrapped it anyway, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't really.
Or maybe just hire people who write musicals to write musicals. I don't know.
But it sounds like Sting's stuff was going to be really good.
I agree.
Elton John had not written any musicals before The Lion King, and it worked out pretty well
I
for
agree.
everyone.
And Stephen Schwartz does just fine.
Yeah, Steven Schwartz does just fine. That might be our new.
Yeah.
You've never heard of him.
He does just fine.
Steven Schwartz does just fine. He does very well.
Kate-
I love his scores.
Do you have a musical variety primetime
What?
MVP? Do you have an MVP?
We already went through MVPs.
Do you?
And now we just finished crossovers. I'm glad both of us know how this show works really well. It's now time for the
We've
final.
only been doing this for a year and a half now.
Final
Final
cut.
cut. Final cut.
Where we determine whether we would like to see each of these movies straight up re-released, some kind of special edition, or whether we throw them in the vault along with being outside in groups of people.
And yeah,
That's-
being outside in groups of people.
Socializing in the vault now.
In the vault, along with standing
Shaking-
within 6 feet of someone.
Shaking hands, touching your face. All in the vault.
Enjoying the works of Tom Hanks.
Oh, he's better. It's
He's
fine.
better. I would like to say, I hereby unvault anything we've vaulted for the quarantine. Because you deserve to watch anything you feel like watching during this trying time.
Except for Song of the South.
Also, may I offer you an egg in this trying time? No, but so I want to say, I don't want to vault anything because people need everything.
We may need it in a week.
We may need it. We may run
We'll run out of movie.
Yeah, you might be craving Titan AE, Kate.
No.
Because you will have run out of movies to watch. You will need something else. All right, so Kate, what do you do?
El Dorado?
Sure.
Let's start with El Dorado.
Start with El Dorado.
I think a special edition, and for real, I want more characters singing songs. I think it would work in this movie.
Yeah.
And like, if I'm getting a microscopic special edition, then it's just that song that exists. That it's tough to be a god, because I could fix that scene.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
So yeah, just spice it up.
I mean, we paused the movie so that you could fix the scene
yeah,
while we were watching the movie.
Yeah,
so
that's correct.
I'm confident that you could fix the
that's
scene.
correct. Yeah, in general, I think there's a couple different themes in it that I would love to see more developed in terms of, like, I want to know what the story is about,
Yeah.
but I don't care as much to do that. So I just, more songs, please.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I do a special edition. I take out Tough to Be a God.
Mm-hmm.
I leave in the like Elton John songs that are in there, and I PG-13 it up a little bit.
Oh.
Because I'd like to see that.
I would be very confused at what that would look like. We
So-
don't have a reference really for that.
We don't really have a reference for
Yeah.
that. Like there are some like adult cartoons, but they're mainly either like comedy,
They're like,
like Archer,
right, or
But
like
it's not
South Park, right? Like,
but it's not an animated movie.
they're like rude comedy,
Yeah.
like crude comedy, or hyper violent, right? Or
Right.
like, yeah.
But like generally in America, there's not a PG-13.
Animation.
So I think that's something that could play well.
Mm-hmm.
And I got real Indiana Jones vibes off of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so like just going a little bit further with like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Maybe add in some swearing like in Transformers or,
Did he just say shit?
yeah, he did.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, just like don't make it like a full mature or adults only or whatever, right? But like just just rev it up just a little bit.
Katzenberg would love that. He
I think
loves
it would
edgy.
Yeah. I just think it'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
To get somewhere in the middle there.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Emperor's
Kate,
New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove.
You know what? I want to leave it alone. And I want Kingdom of the Sun. I just leave it. Emperor's New Groove can be its own movie. Let's start over. Kingdom of the Sun. Bring David Spade back. I don't like these can just be like two parallel universe movies that exist.
Yeah.
I want that score in a movie so bad.
Yeah.
I understand. Again, they were trying to do too many things, but
by that score, do you mean
the Sting songs?
The Sting
I want
songs,
the Sting musical theater songs.
Do you mean the original score? Where they brought in Mark Shaman, and then we're like,
and
nope.
Then abruptly fired Mark Shaman for trying to do too many things, and they brought in a guy who had done a score before.
Yeah.
I want Kingdom of the Sun. Like, I want it really bad. I think Prince and the Pauper in that setting has a lot of interesting, like, take out the llama, because that doesn't seem to make any sense anymore, especially if you have Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been a real good Prince and the Pauper, like...
What if the Prince and the Pauper were mice?
That's what I'm saying. There hasn't been a really strong one that's not just like a... Like, Mickey Mouse isn't a character, Dick. Like, Mickey Mouse
he's
is
a character.
Blank canvas.
He's a character, all right.
I'll see New Mickey Mouse, the dad from Christmas Story musical. I'll see that Mickey Mouse and Prince of the Pauper. But I think Prince of the Pauper would be a great retelling, right? They've done a lot of other fairy tales and folk tales in like insane way. You know, like they did Hamlet as lions one time. I don't know if you've seen that one, but
they
could do Prince and the Pauper in times.
Donald Glover.
All right.
And it had Seth Rogen.
All right.
So good. Everyone loves it.
Just you wait.
Yeah.
There's an episode coming. Yeah. Kingdom of the Sun. What do you do with Emperor's New Groove?
I don't know. It's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it needs a special edition. Here's what I want. I want, honestly, I want a little bit less of, what's his stupid name? David Spade and John Goodman.
Oh, Kuzco and Pacha.
And a little more of Yzma and Kronk.
Yep.
And I want Kronk's squirrel thing to start at the beginning and continue through.
The squirrel thing does not happen enough.
No,
there's a sequel called Kronk's New Groove that was direct to DVD. We should just watch it because it's Patrick Warburton, so we should just watch it.
Also, well, we should also watch Venture Brothers because he's amazing in that. He looks like Kronk but with blonde hair. That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Brock Sampson. So I also rename it because
Emperor's New Groove is a bad title.
It's a very bad title, especially because if you tell me Emperor's New Groove, I'm like, is this like the Emperor has no clothes, but he's a groove?
Yeah.
Is this how Stella got her groove
the
back,
Emperor's new
but
clothes,
she's a llama?
Yeah.
What are we watching here?
Yeah, and it's only referenced once. Well, it's referenced in the bookends. They're off my groove with the guy, with the piglet
it doesn't
old man.
Work or make sense.
Yeah. What do you rename it? Kingdom of the Sun.
I rename it Rama Lama Ding Dong. Or Rama Lama Ding Dong.
Does it help you to know that the version of that Rama Lama song on that soundtrack is recorded by Rascal Flatts?
Yes.
That Sting song? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life is a highway.
Rama Lama Llama.
I want a llama.
Rama Lama pajama.
All night llama.
Llama.
Cool. You want to be done with podcasting now?
Thank you again,
hey,
Brianna Brianna or both.
Or if you pronounce it a third way,
for
that's
that
cool.
Great suggestion. Yeah. And we do want to be branching outside of Disney more and more, even though we do have the whole Disney catalog here in isolation with Disney Plus.
Most of the Disney catalog.
All but one. And so if you have any suggestions for us.
I'm just saying, Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken is not available on Disney Plus.
Do you think
want
it's
to watch that movie
because
again.
they make horses jump off of diving boards?
I don't think.
Do you think that might be part of it?
I don't understand what's so bad about a movie where a girl's dream is to be a horse diver.
if you have animated movies, because hopefully no animals are harmed in the making of those,
It'd be really weird if they were.
that you would like to hear us talk about, either a pair that you are thinking of or just a single movie that you'd like us to pair with something, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and we've gotten some great suggestions
We have
recently.
several listener suggestions in the queue.
So one, if you suggested something recently, we have it in the queue. We are working on it.
We have nothing but time now, so we're going to get to those.
But also, we do have something special coming soonish. So be patient. We are getting to you, but also we got to do one for us.
Dick, if they want to reach out to us, how could they do it?
Well, not by hand. Like, don't reach out and shake my hand.
No, don't shake your hand. Don't touch your face.
I guess we could both wash our hands, then handshake, and then wash our hands again.
But like everything else these days, it's going to be done over the internet.
Oh!
You can find us on Twitter, Cellmates Podcast, Facebook, Cellmates Podcast.
What about email?
Cellmatespodcast@gmail.com.
That's cool. Do we have a website?
We sure do. Cellmatespodcast.com.
You know what? Maybe I'll use this time to make our website look better.
Do something other than play our podcast, which is a fine thing for it to do.
We'll see what happens.
So thanks for listening.
Hey, thanks.
Good luck with all that is going on in your lives right now. Stay safe and healthy and well, and watch some animated movies.
I feel a little bad that we have to mention this horrible virus that's spreading through the world. Because I feel like entertainment is a place where you want to get away from that. But also, we can't talk without talking about it, because that's where we are right now.
We're not allowed. Just like touching our face.
So we'll we'll talk to you again.
Yeah.
In like 2-ish weeks.
Yeah.
And hopefully everything's great.
For Cellmates Podcast,
I'm Dick Ward.
I'm Kate Phillips. Bye.
Bye. Get loud. That's actually quieter than you talk sometimes.
Guards!
I mean, just like use your voice though.
Hi. This is podcast voice.
Wait, do that guards one again.
Guards!
What is that voice?
It's Eartha Kitt.
Oh, it's fun.
She screamed guards one time.
I like it.